We all know when our minds are cluttered, our body usually feels it too, whether it's more tension, more pain, or more fatigue. But what if taking a few minutes every day or so to clear your head could actually calm down your nervous system and reduce pain signals? Today, I'll show you how journaling daily, or even every few days, nothing fancy, just a few minutes, can help manage pain, lower stress, and bring clarity and calm back into your life. As many of you will already know, pain often flares with stress, worry, and emotional overload. And the more we try to push things away and pretend that everything's fine, the bigger the consequences can be for our body. Many people hold stress internally. It builds pressure and amplifies pain. And this quote from Bessel van Kolk, the author of The Body Keeps a Score, explains this perfectly. The quote is, "As long as you keep secrets and suppress information, you are fundamentally at war with yourself. Hiding your core feelings takes an enormous amount of energy. It saps your motivation to pursue worthwhile goals and it leaves you feeling bored and shut down. Meanwhile, stress hormones keep flooding your body, leading to headaches, muscle aches, problems with bowels, or sexual function. However, as an antidote to suppressing our feelings, writing our thoughts down can help us to externalize stress by allowing the brain to no longer have to hold on to it, helps us to process emotions, reducing unconscious tension in our mind and body, and organize our thoughts, making our problems and worries feel a bit more manageable. Basically, as I like to say, better out than in. In addition, journaling has been found to boost immunity and also improve our physical health. Another bonus is that it boosts mindfulness. And you know, the research on mindfulness is really powerful. A big meta-analysis found that mindful-based practices, and yes, journaling is one of those, can cut stress by as much as 70%. Mindfulness practices also boost mood by over a third, improve emotional regulation, and help quiet those anxious, looping thoughts that keep us up at night. And the best part, journaling naturally builds mindfulness by keeping us anchored in the present moment. It lets us see our thoughts without judgment and helps us to recognize patterns, and importantly, it teaches us to be kinder to ourselves. In fact, studies have shown that self-compassion, which journaling can help develop, is an even stronger predictor of psychological well-being than self-esteem. For this reason, I make sure to add self-compassion as a prompt at the end of my journaling to soothe myself about anything that came up, but also to congratulate myself for doing the work. So in just a few minutes a day, you're not just writing things down, you're actually training your mind and your nervous system to feel safer, calmer, and more balanced. Research also shows that writing down daily stress can help your brain settle. Brain imaging studies have found that putting emotions into words dial down the activity of the amygdala, the part of the brain that triggers the body's false alarm stress response, which we know is a common thing with neuroplastic pain. People who journal regularly often report better emotional regulation and also better sleep. And by calming the body's stress response overall, journaling may also change how intensely we perceive physical pain. In neuroplastic pain, like TMS and mind-body syndrome, the body interprets safe signals as threats. Where emotions are suppressed, regular journaling, however, helps to remind the brain, I'm safe, I'm processing, I don't need pain as a warning. It's worth noting, if you want to go back and journal about past events, also personality traits that may have taken you down the path of neuroplastic pain to begin with, I recommend the work of Dr. Schubiner and his book, Unlearn Your Pain. The book has really clear instructions to help you journal more deeply about issues that may be impacting you. The book provides really clear instructions to help you journal more deeply about issues that may be impacting you. And as part of the program in the book, you do this over a number of weeks, so you have time to really go back and delve into it a little bit more. But what I'm talking about today is more regular journaling, probably when you've already done that intense work at some point. However, even in saying that, it's quite likely that some stuff from the past will likely come up when you do your regular journaling. So I recommend a question that helps prompt this, and we'll talk about that a little later in the video. So, how to use everyday journaling for pain and stress? First of all, keep it simple. We don't need rules, we definitely don't need perfection. It's just mind to page. See it more as a download, getting out what's on your mind since the last time you journaled. It's also not about rehashing trauma or digging deep unless that's what you want to do. Just today or this week's anger, just looking at today's or this week's stress, worries, anger, annoyances, or any other difficult emotions that have come up. Funnily enough, sometimes when I'm doing this regular journaling, I might start by saying that someone did something that annoyed me, but by the end I'm usually saying how angry I am about it and peppering in some expletives. And gosh, it feels good. It really is good to just let rip and not temper it. Let rip, is that an Australian term? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments if you're not Australian and let rip doesn't make sense to you, but let rip is pretty much just go for it and say exactly what you think. I would be interested to hear if that is a common term across the world or whether it's an Australianism. Let me know. So here are my favourite journal prompts that I've collected over the years that I've been working with neuroplastic pain for myself and my clients. And I wish I could credit them all, but I'm truly not sure where each of them came from. But they appear to be a combination of emotional awareness and expression therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, internal family system or parts therapy, and pain reprocessing therapy. So here are my favourite journal prompts, and please take a screenshot if you think that will be helpful so you can work with them at a later time. So, what negative, judgmental, fearful or mean thoughts have I had? What comments, situations or ideas have I reacted to? How did I feel in the moment? So this is an emotion. What are the attached or underlying emotions? What does it feel like in my body? So this might be what size, what shape, what colour. Or as we would do in somatic tracking, using neutral language to describe the feeling we have in our body. Maybe it's a bit of tightness, a bit of heaviness, a bit of warmth, but just trying to keep that language around it rather neutral. So the next one is, what does this remind me of from the past? So you may want to skip this one if you don't want to delve too deeply and just deal with what's happening in the present, or you might have something just pops into your mind that says, I know what this reminds me of. It reminds me of that old boss I used to have, or the way that dad used to tell me off, or the way that I used to fight with my siblings. So something might come up, it might not. Don't push it. The following question is, what would wise mind say? And if you are wondering what wise mind is, you might want to do some research and find out a little bit more about it. Another way to ask this might be, what would my higher self say? And I believe that's one Howard Schubiner uses, and that might resonate more or sound more accessible to you. But of course, with any of these questions, take them or leave them, use what feels good, what resonates, and skip what doesn't. Pick what works for you from these questions and for others, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a sec. You then move on to practicing self-compassion, and I like to do this by saying to myself, I accept my feelings and my experience in this moment. And whilst I do that, I might do some gentle tapping or some pressure points, or I might do the butterfly hug, which you can just do with your hands here, or moving them down, gently down your arms. But just that soothing, that congratulations for doing the work, and just a nice way to finish it off and then move into the next activity of your day. A prompt that you might want to add if you believe that people-pleasing or perfectionism are big players in your neuroplastic pain is to add a prompt about that to work with, like, how did my personality trait, say perfectionism, impact this situation that happened? Or how has my perfectionism impacted me today or in the last few days? So have a think about that. Again, see what works. Most likely you will know exactly what your biggest issues are. So pick and choose the prompts that work well with that. So how to do it? Any way that works for you. Again, paper and pen is fine. Or I like to use the Reflection app, just a really simple interface, or the Diaro app, which is also, it has a little bit more bells and whistles, but also really easy to use. I suggest that you pick a few times a week and schedule it into your calendar, because consistency really does matter, probably more than how long you take to do it. And also, as I mentioned, it doesn't need to be daily. I know that I had a client recently who was making herself journal daily, and it was becoming really tiresome and something that she wasn't looking forward to. And also she had a busy life. She played sport and she spent a lot of time with her friends out doing fun things, as we should be doing. And then to have to come home and make herself journal after she'd been out and it was late wasn't really working. So we worked together and decided that perhaps 3 or 4 times a week scheduled in was much better and much more manageable. And as a result, she did more journaling, she enjoyed it more, and she got more out of it. So just think about what works for you and your schedule, and try not to push yourself to need to make it a daily thing. But if you can manage 3 or 4 times a week, that is magnificent. So we've mostly talked about scheduling journaling sessions, but also sometimes the best journaling you can do is directly after something's happened. So you're at work and you've had a meeting that didn't go well, or a phone call that was upsetting, and just to get your phone out or get your notepad out and just write some stuff down and get it out. Maybe not even thinking too much about journal prompts, but just saying, how do I feel in this moment? And, go And be really honest. If you're angry, say that you're angry. If you're confused, say that you're confused. But just get it out whichever way you can. And with all of this journaling, actually, I recommend after you finish with it, get rid of it. So if it's on a piece of paper, throw it out somewhere where no one else is going to come across it, or delete it from your phone. I don't go back and read my journaling prompts. I don't think it's helpful, and it's just safer. And because when we write, we're not censoring ourselves, I think it's really important to know that it's gone and no one's going to come across it. And I'm not sure about you, but I've read enough historical fiction to know that somebody always finds a secret journal and drama always ensues. So my advice is to just get rid of it. So if you don't already journal regularly, I encourage you to do so. Why not try it tonight? Grab a notebook, write down what's on your mind using the journal prompts that I've provided or some that feel good to you, and just notice how your body feels afterwards. Sometimes it's the smallest shifts that bring the biggest relief in the short and the long term. Let me know in the comments the best thing about journaling for you. Thanks for watching today's video, and please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel. See you next time.